welcome back to the channel. Yeah, I'm sorry. I said soon. I guess it ended up being like a week and a half. But besides the fact, I'm here with the final 4 types of runes today. I'll have Mech, Dusk, Dawn, and Neutral, I believe it is called. Okay, so getting into things, my first rune on the top of the list is Last Stand. This is for the mechs, of course. And if you sort of know anything about the Mystic era and those sorts of runes, you'll know that Last Stand is easily one of the best runes that there is. Because there's really no way to, get around the immortality. Unless you, directly go for the back. But then still then, you can, get an extra turn where this actually was, and you can deal additional damage. So you deal plus 30% stats, while immortal. And you cleanse all debuffs, lose any taunt, and plus 30% stats while immortal. I mean, the lose any taunt's a little sad, but if you have, a cactus on the top, then you're, taunting while you're immortal. Or, it's not really a good way to get around losing taunt. You can't, force your enemy to attack you, but yeah, I mean, it's still really good. And it is very high. I'll make, a rune, top rune list later on. I guess that's my next thing after this. And I will definitely, in that list, it'll definitely be up there. So my second rune I have up here is also a Mystic, just like Last Stand. It is Shield Backup. So it says, this Axe's shields grant plus 20% shield. While shielded, take minus 20% damage from attacks. Retain 50% of leftover shield. So it's a good, frontline, midline, if you're thinking about, a triple mech team or something like that. But then it also combos really well with the next rune I have on this list, which is Adaptive Program. So Adaptive Programs says, receive plus 15% shield from cards. Whenever this axe receives greater than or equal to 90% shield, 90 shield from a card, gain 2 energy fragment. So when comboed with shield backup, Adaptive Program could easily, you're granting plus 35% shield for an Axie, and most shield cards come around 70. So yeah, that would easily go over 90 with 1 energy. And so you could triple your energy fragments in 1 turn if you just shield them, which is fun to think about. Okay, well that'll be all for the mechs. I think that was... So getting into the mechs, Dusks, and Dawns, theirs are definitely better than others, but they do come at a cost of 3 potential points being unusable, unfortunately. Okay, so moving on to the Dusk cards, or runes, I have Soul Eater as my first one, and it definitely got a buff. So it says, when your turn starts, allied Axes lose HP equal to 6% of max HP, and their cards gain plus 6% base stats. So think of this like Glorious Mane. You're gaining plus 10% stats, plus 6% stats. You keep this stuff. Glorious Mane's on plus 8%, by the way. I think I covered that. But still, this is plus 6% stats that you keep. Think about a good team that you're able to, heal your team and good stuff like that. Then, bam. Okay, cool. I have just gain stats. And there's generally no repercussion from it. I mean, technically, you're, losing stuff, but, wasting a little bit of energy, but really, the opponent's damaging you anyway. It's just like a minor fragment of your HP, and if you heal it, yay. Now the only downside would be like I have very little HP. My opponent knows that. I accidentally kill one of my allies with this. But besides that, it's fine. Okay, so my second one is Gloomy Dice, and it's really good if you have a Dusk that has some of the like balloon, caterpillars, cute bunny, I think is the other one. But so it reads, when your turn starts on an odd round, randomly apply 3 hex or 3 fear to enemy axes. So if you have 3 hex, you're not able to put shield up without adding a confuse to your draw pile. If you have fear, you can't attack without adding confuse to your draw pile. So it's good for filling up enemy hands with confused, and it can be really annoying in that way. And it just like prevents energy use, and it's really good, I think. So my final one on this list is Moonlight Thief. So it says, when your turn starts, if you have less energy fragment or energy burst level than your enemy, steal 1 fragment. When your turn ends, heal 15 HP equal to 4 times your fragment. So, this card is really good if A, you play Cottontail, or B, you play like me and keep every single card in your hand just because you don't know what you're going to do next turn. Which, I mean, it's a strategy that sort of really works for me. And yeah. Because I'm always able to know what I want to do next. And I can always see what the enemy is trying to do, read what they're trying to do, and cope based off of that, basically. And I mean, sometimes you don't even use the cards that you kept. But if you have Moonlight Thief, you're stealing an energy fragment, which is just annoying because your enemy is like, every turn I get -1 energy fragment. It's good to go second with, especially with Moonlight Thief. But yeah. So that's all for the Dusks, and I'm moving on to Dawn. I'm actually making pretty good time. Okay, so for my first rune, I have Celestial Might up here, and I feel like Celestial Might is like extremely underused for what its potential is. So, yeah. This Axe's cards gain plus 35% stats when played. Glorious Main, all stats gain plus 35% when played. Okay, this is what I think. I'm like 99% sure of this, but if anyone knows, say it in the comments. Unleash all your wrath on me for putting this up front. But I think it has to be, right? I'm going to be playing Celestial Might later this season, assuming I do well and I'm able to get Celestial Might, but I mean, I want to. But next, this is the downside. They're banished after being played twice. So you need, like, think of, like, Little Owl. If you play all of your cards twice, you just get to the maximum by the time they're banished. But if you get, like, sort of like beast cards on a Dawn, or like high energy cards, plus 35% stats is ridiculous. Sure, it doesn't like calculate off of energy usage, but just like think of it. It's a good like midliner. It's not like backline, I'll destroy you, midliner. But moving on. Okay, so next I have Holy Prayer, which is when your turn starts, purify 1 time. So like get rid of, it starts So it banishes a curse card starting from your draw pile to your hand to your discard pile. It goes in that order of trying to purify. And then allied Axii cards gain plus 10% stats, plus 5% stats while there are no curse cards in your deck. So Dawn cards are basically like, give your allies bonus percent stats, and that sort of stuff. And this is really good for like early game, no curse cards in your deck. Good, like, kick it off with a bunch of damage. Which is like really important to start, to like set your opponent in place and see how they react off of that so that you can actually move your tactic around based off of that. Okay, so to finish things off here for the Dawns, I have Heaven's Echoes. And it says, after attacking until your turn ends, other allied Axii's attacks deal plus 20% damage. After playing a skill, other allied Axii's gain 20 shield. So the 20 shield part is just like an added bonus, but truthfully, what Heaven's Echoes is about is giving your allies, that plus 20% damage that we all look at and we're like, yes. Which combo with Holy Prayer, which combo with Celestial Might, two cards, plus 70% stats, turn 1, going second. Just why? Your opponent might be like, just why? Can you stop, please? That hurt a lot. And that's the beauty of the Dawn ones. And the Dawns don't even have to be filled with, like, bird cards. Like I said, Beast one for Celestial Might would be just fine. And no one would suffer from that. Except for your opponent, of course. Okay, now moving on to neutral. Okay, moving on to the neutral runes, I have as my first top one, which, in all honesty, it is like extremely close between Shady Exchange and Pure Instinct. But the one that I have as the number one neutral rune is Pure Instinct. Because it says, other allied Axii's cards gain plus 5% stats when played. Plus 5% more per unique Axii class in your team. So this is like Glorious Mane, except it could be ranging from 5% to 20% more when played. Just depending on like your team composition and all of that stuff. But Pure Instinct is for other allies, so this does not affect the rune holder. So it would be like a good midliner, where mainly the midliner is the one that would last the furthest against like any team composition, because you either have like target closest or furthest, or many cards just target like the first one. There are very few that like choose the midliner. And so that's where I would definitely put this rune. Okay, so number 2 spot I have Shady Exchange, which at first it doesn't sound good, saying until round 2, when your turn ends, lose 2 energy fragment. After that, when your turn starts, gain 3 energy fragments. So this is really good for like a fish energy build-up team, or like an Innocent Lamb type team in like that scenario. It's like really recommending going first with this one, because then you're not losing as many energy fragment and you're gaining 3 before your opponent. Just going to say that I did have this rune season 4, and so I know that if you gain 3 energy fragments when your turn starts and you go to an energy burst, you do not get that extra energy that turn. I don't know if that was changed season 5, because it is still the rare era when I'm recording this. Haha, already top 16,000. It's not much, but I mean, you know. Wolf 1. Making my way up there, not facing too much trouble. Should be fine. Slow build-up process. But anyway, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so continuing my story, I made the awful mistake of disenchanting the rune to make 10 more runes. Because at this point I wasn't using SLP. I am now. But I wasn't using SLP to craft. And I just like got nothing. And I was like, why did I do that? That was a really good rune. And I mean, yeah, it was one of the worst mistakes I had. And so that's also why I made that like announcement yesterday and whatnot. It's because I think that runes should be worth more than negative profit, if you understand me and where I'm coming from. Because that's just like, why? You don't craft a rune and then sell it for less. It just doesn't make sense. Okay? And this is, I mean, it's just my thoughts. But it's my wholehearted thought. Okay, moving on. Okay, so my last rune for the entire like season 5 rune ranking and neutral segment is Last Wish. It is very close to Pure Luck. Energy Shard I used to think was really good, but it's not that great because it encourages unique Axie class teams, and sometimes the way you want to be playing your teams, and sometimes the better way to play teams is not like triple the same one, and it's not like extremely useful. Pure Luck is pretty good, but I think that Last Wish is higher. Now, I will say that Pure Luck, it is really good, except the fact that Last Wish can be like a final factor in like killing your opponent and saving your team. Plus, you get plus 40. You know what? I'll read it. Max HP plus 40. On death, shield other allies and deal damage to enemies equal to 10% of max HP. Which that can be like the deciding factor in any game. And I will tell you because I know it was the deciding factor in my game one time. I was going to go berserk with my backliner, except Last Wish just flicked me out right there. Boom. I was gone. And he probably knew that. And he was like smirking, but also like if I didn't have that guy would have like absolutely destroyed me. But anyway, I mean, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, cool. I'll see you in the next one. Oh, also, by the way, if you didn't get the message from the last one, I am making a Nuzlocke. I will completely explain how that works, because in Axie Infinity, it might be a little confusing how I do that with, like, 3 Axies on a team. But I will make a video on that, make a video on the core 9 Axies that I'll be using in that. And that'll probably come out tomorrow or the day after that. And count on that time, because I know what I can do for that. Okay? Okay. Well, I'll see you in the next one. Hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.